Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and I stated last night in the video I made about reproducing this patrolman's badge that there's some texture that's in the metal badge that would be like, the metal when it was poured, or it's got a little texture to it. And my drawing from last night didn't have any texture in it. So I thought, well, let's try to add some texture. And this is pretty easy and kind of fun. I've got something hidden right there. I'm going to take this shape with the Smart Fill tool and fill it in. Then I'm going to nudge it over twice. And I'm going to left click, right click. And what I've done, I've made a well for color to go into. I just took some texture. There's textures on the inside of Corel, but I wasn't really happy with them. So I just went on the internet and found texture, and it came out pretty good. It traced. I just picked that right there under just vector texture and came up with that. And what you want to do, you nudge this over so you haven't messed it up, but I would make a duplicate of your texture a couple of times. Bring your texture in over your item, select both of them and go to intersect, and then move your intersection over to the texture. And then I would left click and put no outline. But there you have a little bit of a texture to that leaf. Of course, I would want to make the leaf now, maybe make the outline a little bit thicker. So let's just do that. Let's move the texture over the way, and let's give this something other than a, well, we would want to done a hairline anyway. That's too much. You want to have a little bit, let's just make it a half a point. That gives a little bit of outline. Then move your texture back. I'm not saying you're going to want to do this, but it would be a cool effect. And just for instance, let's make it really big. And of course you would want to make your texture smaller. But you could do the whole badge at one time, I'm pretty sure. Let's go here, as long as I don't have any leaks, or at least you could do these bottom parts. Take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in, and it's going to work. And then move that over a little bit. Let's get these other textures out of the way. And that's why I like the nudge factor, nudge tool. Now we're just going to set this on top of it and select it all and go to intersect. What that does, that intersects that box. And there you have a texture. Now you would still have to do this top one, but that's a pretty cool effect. It kind of adds a little thread. And like I said, I would make my leaf outline a little bit thicker. And I'm not saying you would use this texture, but that's an option. You could make your own texture, and you could probably make this texture, smaller and get the texture closer together. So it would be more like a texture, and you could play around with that. Let's do this one, even though I've noticed this leaf is a little bit off from my drawing. Let's go ahead and make this outline. It needs to be more than a hairline anyway. I didn't notice that last night. And let's take the Smart Fill tool, fill that in, move that over, left click, right click. And this is our texture that we made smaller. We could make it quite a bit smaller. And by making it smaller, it's going to make your texture a little bit closer together. So now let's just put it on top of that and go intersect, and then just move that over. That looks pretty close to the texture that's on the badge, and it would make this stand out a little bit better. So this one is going to be the one to use, just make it smaller. Now, I'm not sure how you could make it where it would do this whole badge being smaller. You could possibly, well, let's just try that. Make this thing, let's make it a 1/2 inch. No, make it a 1/2 inch, 0.5. And then put your nudge factor at 0.5. Control D and make a duplicate of that. Control D, Control D. Now what you're doing, your texture is small, but you're making it larger. And I'm sure you're going to have, and there's a lot of drawing going on in there, so Corel's having a little bit of trouble. Let's say that's good enough. Let's group it together, Control G. We'll make it just a hair bigger, make sure it fits on our badge. Let's get our badge now. And we've still got this drawing. So let's just set it on top of our badge. When you have that much going on, it slows Corel down a little bit, or at least on my computer. So our texture isn't quite big enough. It just takes a little time. And for the video, I'm going to go ahead and do this point. And then just select it all. Sorry about that. Select both of them and intersect. Now, it's taking just a second, and yours might not take this long. We just have a lot going on there. It's one of these things I wish I hadn't gone there. I think it's kind of messed up my computer, but there's our new texture. And look how small or fine the texture is. Of course, I've already moved it. I didn't nudge it, I moved it, but the texture is pretty small. So that would work. And if he wants to do that, or you want to do that in the future, that's how you would do it. You could just make your own texture and do that. That'd be a pretty cool effect. Anyway, hope that helped them a little bit. Thank you for watching.